Hi everybody, this is Andrei from DevTaudio and welcome back to my Casio FZ-1 setup. Here in front of me I have the FZ-1 keyboard and I have this mini computer, and we will be talking today about the data transfer between the synthesizer and the computer with a program that I developed recently. If you missed the first part of these videos called 2026 FZ-1 upgrades, you should certainly watch it because it lists all the possible hardware options, while today we mainly talk about what I did for the data transfer. So to remind you, the Casio FZ-1 has the capability of a high-speed data transfer, and that is possible to do with a special port that's on the back, so you can transfer from one FZ-1 to another FZ-1 or FZ-10 and a back and forth between these. It's a parallel transfer, so it's much faster than any MIDI transfer that would take like 40 minutes to transfer a 2 megabyte file. This one will take, well, seconds, or let's say 1 minute, 1.5 minutes to do the full memory transfer. Of course, you can use your floppy drives, which, comparing to MIDI, certainly faster than MIDI, but the approach that I'm taking is ability to manage the multi-thousand files library, the development that I did that would allow you to dump the whole banks, the individual voices, individual samples, or just convert the WAV files on the fly. So that's what we are going to do today. Here I have the Windows 98 computer. All of that development that I did is brand new for legacy hardware. So instead of using 30 years old DOS-based computer, you use now 20 years old Windows-based computer. Honestly, you can run it pretty much on any Windows computer today. The only requirement is to have the actual hardware parallel port out of that. And so basically you then connect it with a special cable. So it looks like a parallel port cable. In fact, it is not, so it has to have a special pinout that's available for a long time. And that pinout is no different than for legacy DOS applications that was used then. To be honest, I was not able to get that DOS application running robust enough, so that's what originally forced me to start modifying it and looking how I can transfer it to Windows. And then I figure out that I can run it on Windows. I figure out that it has lots of Windows complexities that simply don't exist in DOS, that you cannot control the speed of your machine, and there's multitasking services that could always kick you out and so on. So it took some time to develop this. I spent a week of just coding back and forth with the logic analyzers, and as a result of that, the code is available for everybody. And you can download the code compiled, you can download the source code. If you want to make your own modifications, feel free to do that, but you have to contribute back to the original code, and I really appreciate if you do so. So that could help to get project going. I purposely didn't put it on any specialized microcontroller. I thought I will keep it really all original and legacy. So now let's take a look how that works inside. So what you see here is a screen of this Windows 98 computer. I just connected a capture device to this, so that's why I don't have a monitor in front of me. I have the keyboard and I have the computer itself, but the actual screen goes to my capture device so I can see it there. When you run the application, it runs same as the old DOS-style application developed by Jeff McClintock, and I preserve the style and look of this, and I think it's really cool that, well, it looks in that way. So what it allows you to do, as I started earlier, so you can transfer the whole bank, so part of a bank, or just voices, individual voices or individual samples, convert WAV files on the fly and put it to the synthesizer, and manage it really like a whole library. So first, what you have to do when you run the app, of course, you have to have cable connected prior to powering on the computer and the synthesizer. This is not hot plug by any means, so you just want to make sure that you do that very, very carefully and preserve the sequence. So now I can start Casio, and the first thing that I need to do, I need to go as the instruction of the application is telling me. I have to go to the data dump menu, then I have to go to the select device, and in the dump device, instead of disk would be the original floppy drive, of course, I have to select the port, and that is that data port on the back. So by doing that, it enables all the next data dumps and communications over the data port. So there are only three options here on FZ1: disk, data port, and MIDI. We are not using MIDI because it's so slow, but for small sample sizes in the order of kilobytes, yeah, you can still continue using MIDI. It's just, it makes it very, very bad user experience when you do the 1 megabyte transfer and you sit and wait and watch. So then from this, in the data dump directory inside the FZ1, you will have to select the dump that would be corresponding to the file type that you are going to transfer here. So it would be a full bank, it will be a full dump, I'm sorry, it could be a bank or it could be a voice. And that would be depending on the which type you select in the app. So now we are in the app, so that's a list of the menus that's available. In the current edition of this application, I made a transfer possible from the PC to FZ1, but not from the FZ1 to PC. It would require some extra handling, and currently I'm not really sure if I want to spend another week of debugging this and get it working robustly, because if you just want to transfer your own files, you better to store it on a floppy drive. So it would be available for you for easy access, and honestly, that would be much easier way. If it's a small file dump, you can still do that over the MIDI. So I'm just trying to see, I'm not seeing that much value of doing that, really. Anyway, so for transferring from a PC to FZ1, we are in this menu. We need to select the option number 1. And so now we get to the directory of files. And so this is the root directory of with all the available files. And we go here to the library. And these are the directories with some library sounds. And I'm selecting some. I get to another directory, for instance, like this. And I pick a directory, and now I can see files. So the file types also color-coded. The FZV represents for the FZ voice, so it's not a full dump, and that's why it's not taking the whole memory capacity, but it's just a single voice file. And that's what I really propose for using today. So let me show this. I can select this file, for instance. Now it tells me, go to the data dump, select the voice dump, and select the load voice. And that's exactly what I should do. I go to the data dump menu, I select the voice dump, and I select load. You have to do that in advance before every transfer. I understand that might not look really convenient, but honestly, if you transfer the multiple voice files, you will stay in that menu all the time. So you don't need to go, you don't need to exit from this menu and do that, start that over. So it will be just, you have enter, then you hit yes, and you transfer another file. So it's not that, I would say, inconvenient, but that's something that you have to do. So I press enter, and now it shows me load, and I select yes. Sorry, I click enter, and then I press yes. So from this, it's now waiting for the data from the computer. I press any key on the computer, and it starts transferring. So after a little bit of waiting, and that's a progress bar of transferring the sound to the FZ1, it will end up in the FZ1. On the transfer, FZ1 is always doing the checksum verification under every thousands of bytes. So after every kilobyte of data it verifies the checksum. So no matter how application is working, stable or not stable, you always have a guaranteed data consistency, because on the receiver side, FZ1 verifies that as well. So now what we see on the screen, executed OK, and what it means, we can start playing it. Great sound, great synth, and very convenient way to manage thousands of files. And this is what you can see here in the list of my files. So all of these files downloaded from internet, you can get access to all of these. And so you may have like thousands of different files in this. And this is very convenient way to manage the whole library of these sounds without going back and forth with a floppy emulator. So I hope you will find that useful for you. As I said, all of that is free of charge. Feel free to do whatever you want to do with this. This is my setup that I'm very proud of. I also like not having the big screens. I like to have the teeny computers made for purpose. So instead of having thousands of different applications on this computer with Windows 98, I'm running only applications for the FZ1 communication. So it's doing all the media communication, it's doing all the parallel port communication, and I'm not having a huge screen. Instead of that, I'm using these mini screens. This is the VGA compatible screen of Amazon, costs $40. Very convenient to put it here next to the small keyboard on a synth. So you have direct access to all your library, to all your tools, and you just work with the synthesizer without being distracted from this. And I really think that's important when you can dedicate time working with the actual hardware and not being distracted by the messages, pop-up windows, other applications. Doesn't really matter. So that's my whole point. Thanks, everybody, and see you next time. Bye.